management's office were located in New Bond Street, and I made it my business to go down there quite regularly and just sit on the doorstep waiting for him to show up. I became friendly with about a dozen teenage girls who did exactly the same thing each day, and it became kind of a social club. So one day during February 1975, Tony Howard, Marc's manager, popped his head out of the office door and asked us, Marc's fans, whether we'd be interested in appearing on a TV show with him as his fans, to sit around and gaze admiringly at him. And obviously we jumped at the chance.
Here he comes now.
When the show itself proceeded, he was then asked about how he goes about composing his songs. And at that point, he gestured for me to hand him the guitar, which I did, and he strummed 4 chords and sang over them. And to my chagrin, I remember exactly what chords he strummed and what words he sang over it. That's just the nerd in me.
It's just like that, isn't it? Just like that.
And when that section of the show was completed, he then handed the guitar back to me and continued with the interview.
And can you sign this for our viewers? And we're going to get you to sign several.
Well, I used to work at a club called the Sundown, which was fantastic because obviously being a DJ, I was there for all the discos, but I also worked with T.Rex. Now, T.Rex was fantastic. Marc Bolan, I found a lovely guy, a really nice guy. He was very accommodating. In fact, after the end of the show, he was so grateful. I mean, I would have done it for nothing, to be honest with you, just to work with the man. But he was so grateful. He gave me the tambourine that he'd used in the show, and he gave me the maracas that he used in the show, and I've still got them.
Things changed for me in the summer of 1975. One day, Tony Howard, his manager, popped his head out of the door and asked me to come up to the office for a minute. I was scared. I thought I'd done something wrong. I thought I was going to be given a bollocking. He asked me if I had a job. I said, well, obviously I haven't got a job. I'm here every day. He said, well, yeah, I've noticed that. He said, well, do you want a job? I said, I don't know. What do you mean? He said, well, Marc's going to be doing a short tour coming up soon. Would you like to help out on the crew? I would have torn his arm off. I torn his arm off to help out on the crew. I had no idea what would be involved. But you see, it was during those gigs that I got to spend rather more time with Marc than I had previously, backstage in the dressing room, for hours in between the setup and sound check, and before the show commenced there was maybe 3 hours to kill. We actually got to play together for a few moments, and that had an enormous impact on me. That and words of encouragement during that occasion and on subsequent occasions gave me the confidence and motivation to pursue a hobby which has now lasted me all of my life. So this is the album that I keep all my Marc Bolan pictures in. You can see he's autographed it there for me. There was one particular occasion when he must have become aware that I was forever hanging around him with an Instamatic camera. And he said to me, so Mopsy, these pictures you take, can I have a look at them? And he leafed through this album, he looked at the pictures, and he said, these pictures are hopeless, Mopsy. Give me that camera, let me show you how to take a proper photograph. And he then took my Instamatic camera from me in the middle of New Bond Street and shot a picture of me, which turned out to be equally hopeless.
1, 2, 3, yeah!
David Bowie and Marc Bolan, the two pioneers of glam rock, had partied together, jammed together, and even toured together since they were teenagers.
There was a definite rivalry between David Bowie and Marc Bolan, without doubt. They both knew each other from the 60s, and both were very competitive men, and both wanted to outdo the other.
By 1972, Marc Bolan was the biggest pop star in the country. And Bowie was like, when Ziggy Stardust came out, he was sneaking up on the rails, but Bolan seemed untouchable. I don't think anybody at that point would have thought David Bowie would become the biggest star or have the longer career.
The two old friends had always been competitive, but megastardom magnified their rivalry, and the brothers in glam slowly drifted apart.